How's it going, everyone? I'm Dono, and this is How to Happy. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to find work-life balance a little bit better. So let's start with a story. You wake up groggily and you got a real bad pain in your neck. You notice as you reach under your head that you've got a sweater under your head as a pillow, and you start thinking, like, where am I? As you start to open your eyes and look around, you realize that you're in the office and you're like, wow, really? It's the third day in a row that you've slept in your office, and your neck's all stiff, and as you get up, you're so excited about the project you have, you run back to start doing it even though you've already worked 60 hours this week. That might not have been quite what you expected me to say, but I think there's a lot of interesting things around work-life balance, primarily in the category of assumptions. There's a lot of weird things that people think have to happen for work-life balance. For example, if people think that you work too much, you get labeled as a workaholic, which is really interesting to me because if you're working, 60, 70, 80 hours a week, and you're truly happy with that, I don't see any reason why someone should tell you to do something else unless it's impacting your health or you're not actually happy. But if that's what you enjoy, then there shouldn't be any reason that there's a limit on a certain number of hours you should work. The same works the other way around, right? If you can put your whole life together on 20 hours a week and you can do exactly what you want to, you make enough money and you're really happy with that, then you should do that. What happens is people put their value and what they think they should work onto other people and try to transmit those values. Now that doesn't necessarily work because if it's not what makes you happy, then it doesn't make sense. Now the problem is a lot of times people let this pressure get to them. Oh, I worked 70 hours this week. Maybe I do work too much, which is a good question to ask yourself to reflect. But if you find out that you're actually happy, then you shouldn't change what you're doing. Now, I also understand if you're working a number of hours that's not what you prefer, right? Maybe you're working those 80 hours and you really hate it. That's a different scenario, and I understand that. So let's dig into that a little deeper, because if you're working that much and you don't like it, why are you doing it, right? There has to be a why underneath that. If you're just doing it for no reason and you're miserable, then yeah, you should work less. You should find something else to do. Like if you're working that much just to make $100,000 a year, but that doesn't actually provide any happiness to you, then you should revisit what you're doing. Maybe you could be much happier at $50,000 a year because you can pay attention to how you're budgeting and the activities you like to do and all that stuff, and you realize that that's a much better fit for you. Or if you're working that much just because that's what you're accustomed to, that's not really a good reason to continue working that much, right? It might be easier because that's the lifestyle that you've built out, but for your own happiness, you're gonna need to make some changes. So you have to start asking yourself these questions. Why am I working this much? Is it to afford a car? Do I need a car this nice? Do I want that? Does that make me happy? Do I need this size of a house? Do I need to make this much money to be happy? What things are actually influencing your happiness? A lot of times when people are working too much and their work life is out of balance, it's because they don't actually know how much money they need to be happy. So do an audit of what you're making and then see how you can spend that money to create happiness. You have to ask yourself, are your work hours worth what you're buying with them? Are they bringing you as much joy as you're investing of your time and energy? On top of that, you get to make these choices. If you actually do this audit of your life and figure out what you care about and figure out if you need to work more or less, then you can start making changes. It may not be easy and it may take some time, but these are the kinds of things you can change. If you're in a job making 6 figures and you absolutely hate it, you can start looking for other things. You have the ability to change these outcomes. To get your life more in balance, what you got to do is start making a plan and start executing towards it. Now, I also understand that sometimes it's a little bit more complicated. Maybe you have a family and you need 6 figures a year to try to keep them at their current lifestyle. So then you have to ask yourself even harder questions and figure out what you value. Do they really need that much money in order to survive? Or could you change some things up and still have the same level of happiness? If at the end of that you find out, no, you actually have to make that much money, then when you're working those long hours, let that value drive you. Let the knowledge that what you're doing is for your family to have a better life drive you. Instead of just being like, I hate this, but it makes them happy, you have to reframe it in your mind as, I'm working really hard so that they can have a better life. But then also, you need to be looking for other opportunities because there's more opportunities out there, right? We often have this idea that because we're doing something, that's what we're stuck doing. But if we start looking for opportunities and we start looking for adjustments, often we can find other ways to reach the same goals and maintain or increase our levels of happiness. So if you're not looking at other alternatives, then you need to start doing that. Otherwise, you just need to remember that you're working those hard hours for a reason and let that drive you. I know it's easier said than done. I get that. I know that we all want to make more money and work less and yada, yada, yada. I get that. The key part of that is that you just have to start somewhere. If you're not happy with your work-life balance, you need to start making adjustments, whatever they are. It may take you a while to get where you want to be, but if you don't start looking for opportunities and you don't change anything, then you're going to be stuck in that position for a long time. If you're not sure whether the work-life balance is working out for you, you need to take time to reflect on it. A lot of times we feel stuck in whatever it is we're doing, but that's not necessarily the truth. People make big career transitions all the time. Now, it's not going to be easy, but if it results in greater happiness later, it's worth it. Or even if it results in greater happiness through the transition, it's worth it. You need to intentionally move towards these things that are going to make you happier and give your life more balance. Otherwise, you're never going to achieve them. These things don't just happen by chance. So you need to pay attention and you need to intentionally make moves to change things. Luckily, there is an infinite amount of opportunity out there. You can do so much. Now, you may not be able to do one very super specific plan, but if you keep chipping away at different ideas, eventually you're going to start making some progress. So if you do some reflection and feel like you're not in the place that you want to be, start sketching out a plan. Start today, figure out something that you can change. And as you start changing these little pieces, you can get closer and closer to what you actually want instead of spending years and years and years and then looking back and regretting what you did. Let's move on to the exercise section. So for today's exercises are: number one, take some time to think about what you value and how work and your other aspects of life interact with each other. 2, list out exactly how much money you need to make and why. What do you want to buy and how does that add value to your life? 3, what are you going to do to balance your work and your life better? Be specific. So hopefully those are a few questions to help get you started thinking about your work-life balance and where you want to be and what you can actually do to improve it. That's all I've got for this video. As always, if you have any questions, comments, topics you want me to cover, feel free to put them down in the box below. I'll get to them as soon as I can. And beyond that, I wish you luck. See ya.
You can check out more content at howtohappy.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date on the videos. We've also got a Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook that you can check out. Reflect, take action, and enjoy life. See you next time.